Have you ever thought about how quickly history can change? I mean, really pivot on a dime. Sometimes an entire future is rewritten in just a few hundred seconds. Today, we're going to look at how a completely ordinary moment can spiral into a tragedy that changes everything.
And isn't that how it always starts? It's a totally routine flight, a normal shift at the control panel, just another Tuesday on the stock market floor. The sky's clear, the coffee's hot, and every single dial is in the green. It's right there, in that perfect calm that the seeds of disaster are so often planted.
And there it is, the switch. That's the moment the quiet breaks, shattered by one tiny, seemingly insignificant error. A gauge that's misread, a wrong turn, maybe a single line of bad code. In that instant, the story flips from a simple diary entry to a full-blown disaster report.
So what we're really talking about here is this powerful psychological trap. It's called normalcy bias. It's that little voice in your head whispering, that's probably not a big deal, or that's never happened before, so why would it happen now? It's our human tendency to completely underestimate the chance of disaster, all because everything just feels so, normal.
Okay, so let's start a clock. We're going to break down the anatomy of a complete system failure minute by minute. 10 minutes. That's all it's going to take.
Every avalanche starts with a single snowflake, right? This is that critical moment we talked about, the inciting incident. It's the point where a problem gets introduced into what was a stable system. But here's the really interesting part. That first domino is almost never what you think it is. You see that small mistake we mentioned? It's almost never the real cause. It's just the trigger. The real problem is usually something much deeper, a hidden crack in the foundation that's been there all along. We call it a latent failure. Think of it like a landmine, just sitting there waiting for someone to take one wrong step.
And this is the absolute key to understanding this. What we see on the surface is the active failure, the person pushing the wrong button. And we blame them, right? We call it human error. But what we don't see is the latent failure, the confusing control panel that made pushing that wrong button practically inevitable. The system itself actually set the trap.
And once that trap is sprung, the problem almost never stays contained. This is where we get the cascade effect. It's where one error doesn't just create one problem, it kicks off a terrifying chain reaction.
And the speed of this collapse, it's just staggering. At 7.5 minutes to go, the error is misinterpreted. That normalcy bias is still in charge. By 5 minutes, the automated systems, the very things designed to help, are now just adding to the confusion. At just over 2 minutes, people can't even communicate clearly with each other anymore. And in that final, desperate minute, the crew starts breaking the rules, trying anything to get control back, but they're unknowingly making it all so much worse. That window to act is closing, fast.
And that leads us here, to the most terrifying moment in any disaster. This is the threshold. It's the point where the outcome is no longer in human hands. The decisions, the skill, the years of experience, suddenly, none of it matters. That subtle flicker on a screen from a few minutes ago, it's now a blaring siren and a blinding red light. The system isn't hinting at a problem anymore. It is screaming that catastrophic failure isn't just possible, it's happening right now.
The crew, they aren't operators or pilots anymore. They're just passengers. That cascade of errors has totally overwhelmed their ability to do anything, and the system is now hurtling forward on its own, guided only by the momentum of its own failure.
And this is the final, brutal shift. The outcome is no longer about procedures or checklists. It all comes down to a simple, brutal equation governed by the laws of physics. The trajectory is locked. The math is unavoidable.
One sec. The end of the line. So, why did we just walk through that chilling countdown? Because it isn't just a dramatic story. It's a blueprint. This pattern of failure is predictable, it's repeatable, and understanding it is absolutely the key to preventing it from happening again.
So let's just recap what we saw. It starts with a state of complete normalcy, but there's a hidden, latent flaw lurking beneath the surface. Then, that flaw gets woken up by an active trigger, often a simple human error. This kicks off a compounding cascade of failures that just overwhelms the whole system, leading finally to an inevitable climax. This 4-act structure is really the anatomy of a modern tragedy.
And this isn't just theoretical, This exact pattern has played out over and over and over again. Chernobyl, the 2008 financial crisis, the Challenger disaster, massive software outages that take down huge parts of the internet. The specific details change, but the deadly logic of how things fail, it stays exactly the same.
And that leads to this quote.
which really reframes everything. These disasters, they aren't accidents in the random sense of the word. They are the logical, almost predictable outcomes of hidden flaws and complexity. In a way, the failure was actually built into the system from the very beginning.
And that brings us to the final and most crucial takeaway. If these catastrophic failures are just a product of hidden flaws in the complex systems we all rely on every single day, it leaves us with one pretty haunting question to think about. Which countdowns are ticking away right now, unheard, in the quiet illusion of our own normalcy?